The dimly lit warehouse reeked of tension, every shadow stretching unnaturally across the cracked concrete floor. The killer's hand shook slightly as he held the gun pointed at the Navy SEAL's head, his eyes wild with a mix of desperation and overconfidence. He had thought himself in complete control, confident that his weapon would intimidate even the most disciplined soldier. But what he failed to notice was the cage in the corner, a sturdy steel enclosure housing a massive German shepherd, muscles coiled, eyes glowing with focused intensity. The loyal dog had been waiting, sensing danger long before the human aggressor had, and its presence would soon turn the tables in ways the killer could never have imagined. The SEAL, calm and composed despite the cold steel pressed against his temple, did not flinch. His mind ran at lightning speed, assessing every angle, calculating the killer's likely reactions, and planning the sequence of moves that could neutralize the threat without triggering the fatal pull of the trigger. Every fiber of his body radiated control, a stark contrast to the frantic energy of the man holding the gun. The killer's confidence wavered slightly as he sensed, though could not yet identify, the presence of a force far more formidable than himself, a silent, disciplined companion watching from the cage. Seconds stretched into eternity as the SEAL's eyes subtly scanned the room. He noted the position of crates, beams, and potential escape routes, mentally rehearsing every option. His hand moved imperceptibly toward a concealed pocket where he had previously stored a tactical tool. Meanwhile, the German shepherd shifted in the cage, low growls vibrating from its throat, muscles coiled like springs, eyes never leaving the killer. The dog's presence was a silent warning, a promise of swift retribution if the human aggressor made a wrong move. The killer's grip on the gun tightened, sweat glistening on his forehead. He had intended this confrontation to be simple: control, intimidate, and escape with his leverage intact. But the SEAL's unshakable calm, combined with the subtle cues from the loyal dog, began to chip away at his overconfidence. His mind raced, realizing that every action could have consequences he had not anticipated. The SEAL's breathing was steady, his body a picture of discipline, and his gaze locked onto the killer with unwavering focus. Suddenly, the SEAL shifted his stance just slightly, a motion so subtle it almost went unnoticed. It was enough to signal the German shepherd, who immediately recognized the opportunity. The low growl rose into a deep, resonant bark, and the cage rattled as the dog's powerful paws pressed against the steel bars. The killer's eyes widened in sudden realization he had forgotten the dog entirely. In his focus on the SEAL, he had ignored the true threat in the room, a loyal companion capable of decisive, lethal action if provoked. The SEAL's calm voice broke the tension, low and commanding. "Step back, don't force my hand." The words carried the weight of experience and authority, leaving no room for argument. The German shepherd's growl intensified, eyes blazing, every muscle coiled like a spring ready to strike. The killer's grip on the gun wavered, his mind spinning with the sudden awareness that his control had vanished. Every instinct screamed that he was no longer the predator. The dog and the SEAL had rewritten the rules of this confrontation in an instant. The room seemed to hold its breath. The SEAL's movements were precise and calculated, every slight adjustment of posture designed to protect himself while guiding the killer toward surrender. The German shepherd, loyal and vigilant, mirrored his focus, a silent guardian ready to act. The killer's confidence crumbled further as he realized that his sole advantage, the gun, could be neutralized by the combined presence of disciplined human skill and canine instinct. The moment had shifted irreversibly, and only one outcome was now possible. The SEAL and his loyal companion would dictate the terms of resolution. The SEAL's calm authority filled the warehouse, every subtle movement measured and deliberate. His body was tense, coiled with precision, ready to react to any sudden threat. The killer's hands shook as he held the gun, eyes darting nervously between the SEAL and the massive German shepherd. He had underestimated the dog, forgetting entirely the loyal companion's presence and the lethal efficiency it represented. The dog's growl deepened, a low rumble vibrating through the cage, muscles coiled like springs, every nerve attuned to the tension in the room. The SEAL subtly adjusted his stance, positioning himself slightly off-center to minimize the line of fire while maintaining complete control of the killer's potential movements. His eyes flicked to the cage, sending a silent command to the dog: patience but readiness. The German shepherd's ears pricked, tail low but rigid, coiled for action. It was a living weapon, restrained only by loyalty and training, but capable of explosive action the moment the SEAL gave the signal. The killer's confidence wavered. His grip on the gun tightened, then loosened, a flicker of panic crossing his face. He realized, perhaps too late, that his control had evaporated. Every instinct screamed that the SEAL and his canine companion had the upper hand, that any rash move could be catastrophic. Guests or bystanders, if any were watching, could see the shift immediately. The room was no longer about intimidation. It was a tactical standoff, controlled with precision by an expert and his dog. The seal spoke calm and steady, his voice cutting through the tension. "Lower the weapon, step back." The words were deliberate, carrying authority backed by lethal experience. The killer hesitated, fear beginning to replace the arrogance that had brought him here. The German shepherd's low growl reinforced the message. The dog was a silent enforcer, ready to act instantly if the command was disobeyed. The balance of power had irrevocably shifted. Every micro-movement by the seal was calculated. His eyes never left the killer, noting the slightest twitch of his fingers, every shift in posture, the subtle signals of intent. The German shepherd pressed against the cage, coiled eyes locked on the man who had threatened its handler. The killer's resolve crumbled further. The realization struck him fully. The gun in his hand no longer granted dominance. He was trapped in a standoff dictated entirely by the seal and the loyal dog. Then the seal subtly signaled with a tilt of his head toward the cage. The German shepherd's response was instantaneous, a powerful yet controlled surge of movement. Its bark echoed through the warehouse, a warning and a reminder of the lethal consequences of defiance. The killer's hands wavered, sweat dripping down his temple as the seal maintained perfect calm. Projecting unshakable authority that could not be ignored, the dog, loyal and disciplined, mirrored every expectation, ready to act at the first hint of danger. The tension in the room reached its peak, every second stretching like eternity. The killer's overconfidence had evaporated, replaced with fear and reluctant acknowledgement that he had underestimated both the seal and the dog. The standoff was no longer about guns or intimidation, it was about strategy, authority, and disciplined intervention. The seal's presence, combined with the German shepherd's controlled power, had neutralized the threat without a single shot being fired, leaving the killer frozen in a state of complete vulnerability. The seal's eyes never wavered from the killer, reading every micro-movement, every twitch of muscle, every shift in balance. He remained calm, projecting absolute authority while subtly signaling the German shepherd. The dog's muscles tensed even further, growls vibrating through its chest, eyes blazing with disciplined focus. The killer, still clutching the gun, finally realized he had ignored the true threat in the room, the loyal dog that could strike with lethal precision in a heartbeat. Panic flashed across his face as the weight of his mistake sank in. With a deliberate flick of the seal's wrist, the dog's cage door clicked open. The massive German shepherd stepped out, controlled but undeniably powerful, moving with fluid precision toward the killer. Each step radiated lethal intent, yet restrained by obedience and loyalty. The killer's confidence collapsed entirely, his breathing rapid, hands shaking as he suddenly understood that his gun no longer guaranteed safety. Guests, if watching, would have witnessed the sheer dominance of trained skill and animal instinct converging into a single, unstoppable force. The seal maintained his composure, speaking in a low, commanding tone. "Drop the weapon, now." The words carried the weight of experience and authority, resonating through the warehouse. The German shepherd's growl intensified, each step deliberate, muscles coiled like springs ready to release at the slightest provocation. The killer's eyes darted between the seal and the advancing dog, and for the first time he truly felt powerless. Every instinct screamed that this confrontation was no longer under his control. The seal subtly shifted closer, guiding the killer toward a safer zone for containment while keeping his own body protected. The dog, obedient but deadly, mirrored every movement, a living barrier of power and discipline. The killer's hands began to tremble uncontrollably. He raised the gun slightly, then froze, realizing that any attempt to fire would be met instantly by both the seal's skill and the German shepherd's loyalty-driven aggression. The standoff had become absolute, resistance now was futile. The seal's eyes locked on the killer, reading fear and hesitation as if it were written across his very soul. Every micro-expression was a signal: surrender or face the consequences. The German shepherd advanced, controlled but menacing, and the killer instinctively stepped back, slowly lowering the gun. The seal's calm presence left no room for debate, no margin for mistake. The dog's growls reinforced the message: obedience, discipline, and loyalty had neutralized the threat without a single shot fired. As the killer's hands shook and he finally dropped the gun, the seal moved in, maintaining full control over the situation. The German shepherd stayed alert, coiled like a spring, ready for any sudden movement. The standoff, once dominated by the killer's arrogance and aggression, had been completely reversed. The room, dimly lit and tense moments ago, now held a controlled calm, dominated by skill, authority, and the presence of a loyal companion who had been ignored at the killer's peril. Finally, the seal stepped forward, securing the weapon and guiding the killer into compliance. The German shepherd remained at his side, every muscle tense, eyes never leaving the man who had threatened danger. The loyal dog had proven that its presence was as decisive as the seal's own skill, a combination of human discipline and canine instinct that left the aggressor completely powerless. The warehouse echoed with the lesson: never underestimate a trained professional or the loyal companion standing beside him. The killer's panic surged like a storm, his breathing ragged and uneven as the German shepherd advanced with precise, controlled steps. Every instinct screamed that he was trapped, completely outmatched. His eyes darted frantically, searching for an escape route that didn't exist. The seal remained calm, moving with fluid precision to keep the killer contained while maintaining a safe perimeter around himself and the dog. Each step projected authority, discipline, and confidence, a stark contrast to the man's uncontrolled fear. The German shepherd's growl grew deeper, resonating through the warehouse, a warning that could not be ignored. Its massive frame moved with lethal grace, yet every motion was restrained, controlled by the silent commands of the seal. The killer's grip on his gun had completely faltered. He raised it, then hesitated, realizing that one wrong move could provoke a reaction that would be instant and decisive. He had assumed the gun gave him power, but now he understood that authority, skill, and loyalty far surpassed any weapon. The seal spoke calmly, his voice carrying an unmistakable weight. "Drop it, you've already lost." There was no threat in his words, only certainty, experience, and moral authority. The German shepherd's eyes locked on the killer, muscles coiled, ready to respond to the slightest provocation. The killer's hands trembled as he began to lower the gun, the reality of his powerless state settling in. Every instinct screamed surrender, yet fear held him rigidly in place. The seal took a calculated step forward, guiding the killer's movements with subtle pressure and positioning. Each gesture was deliberate, ensuring that the killer could not regain control or pose any threat. The German shepherd advanced slightly, a visible reminder that the combination of disciplined human skill and loyal canine instinct was absolute. Guests or observers, if present, would have witnessed a masterful display of controlled dominance, a lesson in authority and the consequences of underestimating skill. The killer finally dropped the gun completely, his arms shaking, eyes wide with the stark realization that his aggression had failed. The seal maintained full control, positioning himself to neutralize any sudden moves while signaling to the German shepherd to stay restrained. The dog remained vigilant, eyes never leaving the man who had dared threaten its handler. The warehouse, tense only moments ago, now held a controlled calm, every participant aware that the confrontation had been decisively resolved. The seal stepped closer, securing the killer and guiding him into a safe area for containment. The German shepherd mirrored every subtle movement, ensuring the man remained powerless while projecting authority and control. The killer's panic intensified as he recognized the impossibility of escape or defiance. The combination of human skill and canine loyalty had transformed the scenario entirely, neutralizing a deadly threat without a single shot being fired. Finally, the seal gave a subtle nod to the dog, signaling that the immediate threat had been contained but that vigilance must remain. The German shepherd relaxed slightly, still alert, muscles coiled but calm, its loyalty unquestionable. The killer, now fully subdued and aware of the skill and discipline arrayed against him, could do nothing but comply. The lesson was clear. The seal and his loyal companion operated with absolute precision, and any miscalculation by the aggressor would be catastrophic. The warehouse was tense, but now the balance of power had shifted entirely. The seal maintained a calm, commanding presence, every movement deliberate, every glance precise. His eyes never left the killer, reading microexpressions and subtle shifts of posture. The German shepherd remained at his side, muscles coiled, eyes blazing with focus, a silent enforcer ready to act at the slightest provocation. The killer's fear was palpable. His hands shook, shoulders slumping, and the gun he had once wielded with confidence now rested uselessly on the ground. The seal's voice cut through the heavy air, low and authoritative. "You've lost, you're not going anywhere until this is over." Every word was deliberate, weighted with experience, authority, and moral clarity. The German shepherd growled softly, restrained but menacing, reinforcing the protective barrier between the aggressor and the seal. The killer's eyes widened, fully comprehending the absolute futility of his situation. Any rash movement would provoke instant consequences, and he knew it. The seal subtly shifted his position, keeping the killer contained while maintaining complete control over the environment. The dog mirrored every move, coiled and ready, yet restrained by the seal's command. The warehouse, once a place of threat and intimidation, now radiated control and calm authority. The killer, fully aware of his vulnerability, could only take small, tentative steps backward. Every instinct screamed submission. He had been outmatched not just by skill but by discipline and loyalty, the unbreakable bond between a Navy SEAL and his dog. Finally, the SEAL guided the killer to a safe area, ensuring the weapon was completely neutralized and that the man could not threaten anyone else. The German shepherd mirrored the SEAL's movements, muscles coiled but calm, eyes fixed unwaveringly on the subdued aggressor. The killer's hands shook uncontrollably, fully aware that his arrogance and aggression had been completely dismantled. The SEAL's combination of human expertise and canine instinct had rewritten the rules of the confrontation. The SEAL stepped closer, projecting calm authority that left no room for resistance. "This ends now," he said firmly. The German shepherd growled low and restrained, a reminder that even at the smallest provocation the consequences could be immediate and severe. The killer's shoulders slumped further, fear and comprehension written across his face. Every observer in the warehouse, if present, would recognize that the combination of tactical skill, calm authority, and loyal canine instinct had neutralized a deadly threat without a single shot being fired. The SEAL then turned his focus entirely to the German Shepherd, giving a subtle nod of reassurance. The dog relaxed slightly, tail lowering but eyes still alert. Together they had restored control, neutralized a lethal threat, and demonstrated the extraordinary power of disciplined skill combined with loyal instinct. The warehouse, once filled with tension and fear, now exhaled a collective sigh of relief, the danger fully contained and the aggressor completely powerless. The killer, now aware of the total futility of his actions, could only comply, his earlier overconfidence replaced by fear and reluctant acknowledgement of his failure. The SEAL and his loyal companion had demonstrated that true power lies not in weapons or aggression, but in skill, discipline, and the unwavering bond between a protector and his dog. The killer's hands trembled as he fully realized the extent of his helplessness. The gun, once a symbol of power, lay useless at his feet. Every glance at the SEAL and the German Shepherd reinforced the reality he could not escape. He was completely at their mercy. The SEAL maintained a calm, commanding presence, every movement calculated, every subtle shift of weight designed to control the situation without escalating violence. The dog mirrored him perfectly, muscles coiled, eyes fixed on the man, radiating lethal readiness restrained only by loyalty and discipline. The warehouse, silent except for the low growls and subtle movements, became a theater of controlled authority. The killer's panic deepened as he realized there was no avenue for escape, no leverage left to exploit. The SEAL's eyes scanned the room, noting every potential obstacle or tool the aggressor might attempt to use, his body poised to neutralize any sudden action. Meanwhile, the German Shepherd shifted slightly forward, signaling readiness, a silent reminder that loyalty-driven instinct was as deadly as any weapon. The SEAL spoke in a low, precise tone. "Step back and keep your hands visible." The words were calm but carried the weight of absolute authority, leaving the killer with no alternative but compliance. Each word resonated with experience and moral clarity. The German Shepherd growled, restrained but unmistakably clear, reinforcing the perimeter and ensuring the aggressor could not regain control. The man's body language shifted from panic to reluctant obedience, his confidence completely shattered. The SEAL subtly guided the killer toward a secure corner, maintaining complete control of the situation. The dog followed, coiled and vigilant, a silent enforcer ensuring that the aggressor could not act rashly. The killer's breathing grew shallow and rapid, sweat dripping from his brow, fully aware that any attempt to resist would be met with instant, decisive action. Guests or witnesses would have seen the seamless coordination between human expertise and canine instinct, a masterclass in protective strategy. Finally, the SEAL allowed a slight nod to the dog, signaling a partial release, still alert, still ready, but confident the immediate threat had been neutralized. The German Shepherd relaxed slightly, muscles still taut, eyes never leaving the killer. The man's shoulders slumped, hands shaking, fully aware that his arrogance and aggression had failed utterly. The SEAL had demonstrated that true authority lies in calm, precise action and the unwavering bond with a loyal companion. The killer, now fully compliant and subdued, could do nothing but accept the total control exercised by the SEAL and his dog. The warehouse, tense only moments before, now held a controlled calm, the danger neutralized and the aggressor completely powerless. Every subtle movement, every controlled gesture had ensured that the situation ended without unnecessary violence, leaving behind a powerful lesson in skill, loyalty, and tactical authority. The SEAL stepped back slightly, allowing the German Shepherd to remain coiled and vigilant, a living testament to the combination of human expertise and canine loyalty. The killer's compliance was complete. He understood that he had underestimated both the man and his dog. The warehouse echoed with a quiet but undeniable truth. Underestimating a disciplined protector and his loyal companion is a mistake with potentially deadly consequences. The warehouse, once filled with tension and the threat of violence, now breathed a quiet calm. The SEAL and his German Shepherd stood as a protective shield, every muscle still coiled with readiness, every gaze sharp and unwavering. The killer, fully subdued, remained frozen, his earlier arrogance replaced by complete comprehension of the power arrayed against him. The gun lay useless on the floor, a stark reminder that intimidation and aggression cannot overpower skill, discipline, and loyalty. The SEAL stepped closer to the German Shepherd, giving a subtle nod of reassurance. The dog relaxed slightly, tail lowering but eyes still alert, a silent testament to their bond and readiness. Together, they had neutralized a lethal threat without firing a single shot, transforming a potentially deadly confrontation into a controlled, decisive resolution. The killer, now aware of the futility of his actions, could only comply and accept the authority of the SEAL and his loyal companion. With deliberate movements, the the seal guided the killer toward a secure containment area, ensuring that he could no longer pose a threat. The German Shepherd mirrored every motion, muscles coiled but controlled, eyes never leaving the aggressor. The warehouse, once dominated by fear and chaos, now radiated order and calm, the presence of skill and loyalty rewriting the rules of the encounter. Every subtle gesture communicated authority, discipline, and moral clarity. Finally, the seal turned to leave, the German Shepherd at his side, a symbol of unwavering loyalty and readiness. The killer remained frozen, fully aware of the consequences had he attempted another aggressive move. The warehouse exhaled in silence, the danger neutralized, the lesson clear. Skill, calm authority, and the bond between a protector and his loyal dog were more powerful than any weapon or threat. As they exited, the seal gave a final glance toward the subdued aggressor. The German Shepherd's head tilted slightly, eyes still alert, but the tension had lifted. Outside the warehouse, the cool night air enveloped them, a stark contrast to the claustrophobic tension moments ago. The seal and his dog walked away, leaving behind a scene of order restored, a threat neutralized, and a powerful demonstration of controlled, disciplined authority. The story of that night would linger long after, a story of calm, precision, loyalty, and skill prevailing over aggression and recklessness. The seal and his loyal German Shepherd had proven that true power is not in the weapon, but in the unwavering discipline and bond between protector and companion. The warehouse, silent now, bore witness to the enduring lesson: underestimate neither a trained professional nor the loyal dog standing by his side.